I think what we want to start out doing is figuring out exactly where we're going to plant.
And do you break the roots up ahead?
It is good to do that.
Once you get it out, kind of like separate them, because then they don't have to do that anymore.
If anybody wants to stay, we're going to do some more work in the overlook, and also we're going to collect some seeds from the dry areas to take down to Bunny Flat to help the zone down there. How does it feel to be part of the Meadow Restoration Project?
Really good.
We really appreciate your help a lot. It's been a powerful and amazing process. And I'm very fortunate. I've been involved since the beginning, and we've come a long way. It's been a remarkable time, and many people have helped us with it. And it's something that has come a long way. It still has a ways to go, but it's a remarkable amount of progress in the time that we've been doing this. When we first started out in 1992, there were a lot of barren areas in the meadow. We had to start an educational process to help our visitors understand what was actually appropriate in the meadow and inappropriate. And in the beginning there was a little resistance from some of the people that were used to just having their own way, but in time we've had great compliance. And now the meadow is healing back remarkably well. And the avalanche of 1995, which you can't really see from here, but it's pretty close, that helped us a lot. That closed the road for almost 2 years. And during that time, the meadow actually gained ground. Even though we'd been planting and revegetating and closing trails for several years, the real progress came when there was very minimal visitation for that couple of years. And from that point on, it's just been improving every year. And one of the things I'd like to talk about today is how important Panther Meadows is to the entire Mount Shasta bioregion. What a magnificent thing to be part of a bioregion, but what is a bioregion? Many people ask me this question as I'm doing my interpretive work here at the Meadow. And a bioregion is basically a natural area that has defined characteristics that are both geological and hydrological and botanical. And the Mount Shasta bioregion is a pretty large system. You know, it includes not only the mountain, but all these areas in every direction. Basically, we're bounded to the east by the Great Basin, and to the southeast by the Sierra bioregion. You know, we have the Klamath-Siskiyou bioregion in the west here. The Sacramento River, which sources from Mount Shasta, of course, is part of the Mount Shasta bioregion and goes all the way to the Pacific Ocean. And it's really remarkable how important knowing our sense of place is in a bioregion. And when I'm teaching here and also in Florida and other places, that's the first thing that I do is teach people about their sense of place. And you know, when I was growing up, I didn't know anything about ecology really. I had an interest in it, but there was no one to teach me about bioregions or ecoregions or ecosystems or anything like that really. And you know, my sense of reference had to do with the street I lived on and how close I was to the mall and you know, things like that. And today that's still true for most people. They don't really have a sense of their biogeography. They don't know that they're part of a bioregion. And so once you learn that you are part of a bioregion, then all of a sudden you realize you have a relationship with lots and lots of different beings, animals, plants, streams, rocks, and it kind of changes our way of, of thinking. Yeah, Mount Shasta is part of what is known as the Cascade Mountain Range. It is not quite the southern terminus. Mount Lassen, 80 miles southeast of here, would be the beginning of what is considered the Cascade Mountain Range. All volcanoes, all part of the Pacific Rim, volcanoes around the circumference of the Pacific Ocean. Forest, subalpine mountain coniferous forest becomes more and more diverse as you go down the mountain. Many kinds of pines, firs. In the mountains adjacent to Mount Shasta in the west, the Siskiyou Mountains, the largest concentration of conifer species in the world. The three trees that we have up here in the meadow and on the mountain this far up, the Shasta red fir and the white bark pine. The mountain hemlock. Notice the fine needle action. Of course, we have Michelle here from the Bioregional Ecology Center, who helped put all this together so long ago.
To me, Panther Meadows is unique because it has this capacity to hold silence. But even when there are a lot of people here, there's a silence that is beyond any other sound, and it has its own tone of silence, and it's particularly nourishing to people from all over the world, and I really appreciate that quality. And this is what got us started. When it was threatened back in 1988, we jumped in and protected it for it took 10 years, and it was because we just could not let that quality get overrun by commercialism, and so I just want to pay homage to them.
The faded appearance of the meadow in the green is an indication of the summer phase. Less than 10 days ago, the meadow was still completely brilliant emerald, which is the indication of the spring season. The meadow is a traditional cultural property, and that is something that was established in the early 90s, and it gives us special characteristics, and we've had to develop special rules and regulations as a result. And one of the things we try to do is to preserve and enhance the ancient characteristics that it has. So it's tricky when we do work here, when we do trail work, when we do restoration with the spring and things like that. We really try as best as possible not to create too much of an impression of the modern world, because we want people to come and get a sense of the ancient and the incredible tradition of spiritual practice that the native people still continue to this day here. And the meadow has a lot for everyone. We get people from all over the world. It is an international destination, and most people get it. They come and immediately they are enveloped and welcomed by the presence of the energy here. And sometimes people are distracted and they don't get that, and that's why we're here to help teach and educate people that don't get that message. And even people that don't care to hear what we have to say have become more and more receptive over time. And it's just a beautiful, wonderful progress that we've had here. And I'm grateful to be part of that, and I thank you very much for being here today.
Mount Shasta was sacred not only because it was a beacon, because it had to do with people's world creation, which is kind of a big deal, I think. World creation and events in Native American mythology. So I'll try to give you some examples. The world creation, actually I'd like to bring up a tribe that I hardly ever bring up in these talks. It's the Modoc, and I'm going to read something about one of their creation myths. And Mount Shasta, what happens is Mount Shasta figures really prominently in that myth. The chief of the sky spirits grew tired of his home in the above world because the air was always brittle with an icy cold. So he carved a hole in the sky with a stone and pushed all the snow and ice down below until he made a great mound that reached from the earth almost to the sky. Today that's known as Mount Shasta. Pleased with his accomplishment, the sky chief stepped from the clouds to Shasta's snowy peak and strode down its slope. Wherever his finger touched, a tree grew. The snow melted in his footsteps, and the water ran down in rivers. That's the Modoc creation story. The Shasta have another version, the Wintu have another version, the Pit River have another version, dealing with their creator's names. So it is pretty powerful.
This is the trail we closed 18 years ago when we began the restoration project. At one time it looked like this. Actually even more eroded than this trail. One more thing I would point out is that purple heather, which you see in the clusters all the way across the meadow, are literally holding the meadow together. Without the purple heather, the erosional forces of rain and snowfall will carry the meadow completely away. We protect the heather, and we encourage others to protect it. Honor its rightful place in securing the meadow. This is the Botrychium, also known as the Yosemite moonwort. It's a very rare plant, always found in association with this yellow flower called the minimus. They have a symbiotic relationship and like living together. This is one of our forms of alpine buckwheat. We have several up here. Yeah, monkey flower.
Monkey flower.
With some blooming purple heather right next to it. Wild onion blooming. Terrestrial orchid. Spiranthes. Arnica. Indian paintbrush. It's a banner year for the Indian paintbrush. Every year one flower seems to showcase the season.